Guildhall Street. And we're walking up to the Guildhall to see the Guildhall project showcase. The Guildhall building. It's a lovely building. Entrance to see somewhere.
Make your way
Yep.
to the courtroom.
Lovely, thank you.
And the route is like basically it's from the office across that way down through the old
Hello.
Hello.
And there's their introductory talks and things, and then from that, people.
Right, we're going to have a look at the operations room.
The World War operations room. This is Kitty and Anne.
Hello.
Who are the
How do you do?
experts on this. Chris is our filmer for tonight.
This is lovely. So,
And he'll explain.
oh, you're going to explain to me that?
Yeah, well, basically, this is one of 40 operations rooms around the country that the Observer Corps ran. Every county had one, Yorkshire had two. It's a big place. So what happens is information comes from, primarily for the Observer Corps, their posts, which are out in the middle of fields and stuff like that, roofs of buildings,
Right.
this sort of thing. They're all marked on here. They've all got a number and a letter. You also get information from radar via the RAF, because you've got radar stations around the coast, but the radar's always looking outwards, it doesn't look inwards. So once the planes have gone over the top of the radar, then the Observer Corps tracks everything else.
Right.
And they don't only track German planes, they track everything. Everything the RAF's flying. When the Americans joined, they were tracking them as well. So any aircraft movement, the Observer Corps were tracking it. They don't always tell the RAF, because that would be too much information. They tell them about anything that's hostile. Hostile ones are marked with yellow counters. This one, which is sneaking in at 0 feet, which means it's coming in under 1,000 feet. So what it's doing is actually flying underneath the radar, because the radar doesn't go right down to the sea. That one is presumed hostile as well. It's got a yellow counter there, but it's not confirmed until probably one of these posts see it. So the idea was to try and get fighters, which is what these are. We've got a load of 24 Spitfires there and there's 7 Hurricanes there to have a go at the German aircraft, obviously. But as well as that, you've got bombers going out, bombers coming back. This one over here is a training flight marked with a T, and that thing's flying around in circles because nobody knows what to do with it. And a green counter is a circling counter. And that's what happens. Basically, you track the track stuff as it moves across the table, and all these arrows are linked to the clock up there. You see it's got different colour sections on it. So the tracking counters, these things which track the direction the plane is flying in, change as the clock colours change. And also in these walls there were 3 little lights in here and 3 in there with the same colours. So as the plotters plot the course of these things from, with the information from these posts, that all changes. The white counter means there's a change of direction, and a new plot goes down with the green counter first, so you can tell it's a green counter. So you've got 12 people sitting around here connected to something like 30 odd posts across.
Right, so the information is coming from each post, and each post is connected how?
Via telephone line.
And
each plotter is connected to 3 posts.
Right. Okay.
So, for example, if we take the jig post, you've got jig 3, which was the one that was at Wesley. You've got jig 2 and jig 1. So they would all be connected to one plotter. And the same with the M lights. They would be another plotter.
Right.
And as a thing moves across the table, it goes from different plotter to different plotter.
Yeah.
And then as something comes in. So they're quite busy. And then all around in this gallery, you've got a whole load of other people which I've marked. So if we start here, this guy up here is the post controller. So his job is to liaise with all these posts. If they get a problem, that's up to him to fix it. If, for example, one of their telephone lines goes out, it's up to him to get onto the GPO people who maintain the telephone lines, and they have got dedicated crews, and they will send somebody out to fix it quickly.
Right.
So that's sort of his job. If they've got any other problems, it's down to him to fix it. If somebody doesn't turn up, for example, he's got to find a replacement. The guy here is duty controller. Here's the one who controls the whole thing. He's the man in charge. And there's 3 shifts operating in here, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So obviously you've got 3 of them. You've got the chap with the lady who sits there is the intergroup liaison officer. They are connected to various other groups, for example, Norwich, Colchester, Bromley in this case, Watford, Cambridge, Bedford. So they are liaising with various other operations, ops rooms, and passing information around. The intergroup teller is also doing a similar sort of thing, just passing information via, you see it on that picture, there's a great big board leaning against the wall. That's called a long range board, and that should be against that wall over there, but it's obviously not there. That's where the long range board goes, and that has got, in our case, it's got Suffolk in the middle of it, it's got Essex underneath, Norfolk and Cambridge, and that way with information that's coming through here, that board can track an aircraft that comes in over the North Norfolk coasts, and if it's heading across Suffolk, it will be tracked all the way down and possibly into Essex. And beyond that, Bromley have got one, and that way you can track an aeroplane right from the Isle of Wight to the Shetland Isles without losing it. So that's what they do. The recorder who sits here is writing down and drawing the lines of every aircraft, every movement on here. And when that piece of paper gets full, his assistant does another one. And then all that information goes off to the RAF. The warning officer there is probably not an ROC person, they're probably from the Ministry of Home Security, and they are linked to the air raid warning system, to the fire brigade, the police, utilities, all this sort of stuff. So if there's an air raid coming towards Bury, for example, or somewhere in the vicinity, it's his job to alert everybody so they know it's coming and then they can get ready. That box on there is the red and green air raid warning lights, red one at the top, green one. That should be lit if there's no air raid warning. If there's an air raid warning in this area, that gets lit to red and you put your tin out on. Raid orderlies, there's 2 of those. what they do is they put these plaques together. With this thing, everybody's connected to everything on various headsets, like that's what Kitty's wearing. So they will be getting information from the RAF about raids that are coming, that they know about coming off the sea. So they can assemble plaques like this one, or in the others, and which are pre-numbered, so that there's very little delay. As soon as the raid comes in, there's a plaque goes down and it's tracked. The group here is the main teller. Now that job is the most important one. That one has got a continuous line to the RAF filter room. So, and that's two-way traffic. They're telling that person what's coming our way. They're telling the RAF what's happening here. For example, they're only reporting the location of these aircraft. They're not reporting the location of these aircraft at the moment because the RAF don't want to know about it. If they want to know about it, they have a red counter. They'll have a red counter put on it, which means the RAF want to know about that one, they don't want to know about those two. It was a complex system.
Yeah, very.
But once it was up and running, it was part of the most efficient air defence system in the world at the time. Nobody else had a system like this. And it proved itself in the Battle of Britain.
So I'm guessing, but that at this part of the country we were probably busier here than everywhere else.
Busier, yeah, obviously the south coast,
Yeah.
Sussex, Kent,
Yeah.
was the busiest place. But yes, that was very busy here, especially when the American arrived. Because you've got American airfields dotted all over this place, as well as the British ones that were already here.
Right.
The Observer Corps across the country were tracking up to 500,000 aircraft movements in a 24-hour period. And it's all done manually.
And they recorded all of it.
Everything was recorded, yeah. Yeah, there's a recorder and a thing that was sitting up there. I mean, that's not happening on Suffolk, but I mean, right across the whole
Yeah,
thing.
of course.
And of course, you know, if you go up into the sort of Yorkshire and that's Lincolnshire, you've got all the British heavy bomber bases and things up there, and there's quite a lot of them. And they would be flying over here.
So that's what
to
was
get
going
to
on
the
in this
contact.
room. So
Yeah.
this was pretty secret and pretty well guarded, I guess.
Well, there might have been a policeman on the door.
Yeah.
They normally had a policeman on the door. Most people didn't even know
Yeah.
know about it. The whole Observer Corps thing, although it wasn't deemed to be secret, people just didn't talk about it. But yeah, I mean, this thing was up and running 6 days before the war started until 6 days after it finished. 24/7. All the posts were manned out in the various locations. I mean, they've got some round the coast, right inland. I mean, Suffolk, the posts on the bottom end of Suffolk were controlled by Colchester because that's the way it was developed. So from about Felixstowe across sort of a line.
So these
to Colchester.
these guys that were out here, what were they doing physically? They were in pillboxes, or they were in
No, they were in-
houses, or
They were in fairly makeshift posts. When they realised war was coming, the people on all the posts, the crews, were given £5 to go and buy the materials to build something to protect them from the wind and rain as best they could. And they were all different. Some of them are made entirely out of sandbags, some of them are made out of corrugated tin.
and where was the telephone then? So they had to have landline.
They have a telephone, yes. The posts were originally set out way before the war started, and the whole thing was run by the police originally.
Right.
And all the observers were special constables, but they didn't do police work, they just did observing. And what they did, the special constable, the chief constable, or one of his minions probably, would tour the area looking for likely spots. So you've got to have high ground, no trees and things around it. You've got to be able to get to it, so it's got to be fairly near a road of some sort, and it's got to be fairly near a telegraph pole.
Yeah.
And that way the GPO would run a line out, down, and they put a box on the side of the post on the telegraph pole. And then before the war, these guys would turn up on bicycles or in a car or something with the kit, go to the stake in the field, which has been marked for their use, run a line out to the telephone pole, connected to their telephone, and at a certain time the GPO would switch that line on. Or if they forgot, somebody would have to go and ring the GPO and ask them to switch that line on. And then they used to do practicing with the RAF. They'd fly various planes at preset heights in preset directions and all this sort of stuff. And this went on from 1925 right up to probably 1938. So they got good at identifying
A lot of
planes.
preparation.
It was yes, and that's why it worked so well.
Well, somebody had a good idea what may be happening.
Well, it came about after the First World War, really, when the Germans just suddenly rocked up one day and started chucking bombs over the side of Zeppelins. And the police got the job of reporting that because they had a telephone system, whereas nobody else really did. There were very few private telephones around in the First World War. Joe Bloggs wouldn't have one.
Even in the second, to be honest with you.
Well, that's right, yeah. I mean, doctors and lawyers and people like that would have a telephone, but the police did have a system of telephones dotted around going back to a central unit. But then they had to ring the Admiralty in London with the information as to where this thing was, because the Admiralty decided they would be responsible for the air defence. They then had to ring either one of the anti-aircraft units, and there were very few of those about, or they had to ring the Royal Flying Corps airfield or Royal Naval Air Service airfield, which would be a group of tents in a field in the middle of nowhere with a telephone. And by the time they got that lot going, this lot had gone home and were having breakfast.
Are you aware of that?
Hello. Oh gosh, do we get a choice of something? I might try that. Is that all right? Thank you. Oh, well, that was an interesting bit of filming up there.
But anyhow, welcome hopefully to the end of your tour. Do it again. What we have here really is the entrance to the Guildhall, as it will be modified when eventually we get up and running in the full. So as you come through from the street, archway, now you have been in the room, seen Martin's model. The original building